right, Al DeMarco here, and this is going to be your Thursday video report, a free selection and in-depth preview coming up in just a moment on Santa Clara and Gonzaga for your free picks, 7-2 run with free selections, all sports combined, including 5 out of 6 in college hoops. Before I get started, though, let's go back to Wednesday night. So, I'll tell you what, one thing I do is exhaustive research. I mean, if you're going to be a gambler, you're going to be a handicapper, you've got to take the time and invest that time in order to make money. And I've always, as I've told you before, I'm an internet junkie. I'm one of these guys who reads, probably sports sections of 25, 30 different major papers a day. I spend at least 3 or 4 hours perusing the internet, trying to find key things that lead me to certain plays. So yesterday I had 2 plays that I really liked. One was the Lakers game against Dallas, and the other one was Notre Dame and Cincinnati. Now, Notre Dame had lost 2 straight games, and they were hosting Cincinnati last night. So I thought really long and hard about the Irish, and I came this close to pulling the trigger on the Irish. But I was a little hesitant because for the month of January, during this 2-2 spurt for them, where they've just played 500 ball, they've been without one of their top players, Carlton Scott, who injured a hamstring late in December. And everywhere I looked, Scott was not supposed to return to action until the weekend or next week at earliest. I mean, I'm on the South Bend Tribune, I'm reading the Basketball Beat Writer's blog, I'm looking everywhere possible, and it says Scott is not going to play. Naturally, Scott comes off the bench last night, hits 2 big 3-pointers for them, give them a big lift playing in South Bend. The only points for Notre Dame off the bench last night. And the Irish, even though it was a close final score, it really wasn't indicative of how well they played against Cincinnati last night at home. They cruised to the win and cover. I, of course, go with my other pick, the Lakers, who totally fall apart like a cheap suit in the third quarter at Dallas, and a Mavericks team that had dropped 7 of its previous 9 games rolls to the easy win and cover as a 3-point home dog. But as I said, as a gambler, as a handicapper, you got to have a short-term memory deficit. You can't dwell on the losses, can't lament them. You don't celebrate the wins either. That's my personal philosophy. And injuries are a funny thing. Sometimes injuries don't mean a thing, other times they do. Back in the early 90s, I was the guy responsible for gathering the injuries for the biggest gambling wire service. I don't want to give this guy any props or any credit because he's still in business and I'm not here to plug him. The biggest gambling wire service in the nation. It was the one that supplied all the sports books with their key injury information. Now remember, back in the early 90s, there was no internet. Hell, there wasn't even cell phones, I don't think, at this particular point in time. So, it was relying on calling schools, sports information directors, NBA public relations people. Same thing with the football, trying to get your updated injury information, using what they called fax services at that time to get pregame notes. And I made it a really exhaustive study of doing injuries at the time because I realized, again, how important it was with injuries. But you will often hear people say, oh, there's inside information. I'm here to tell you, there is no such thing as inside information. Whenever you hear some scumbag or con man or carnival barker talk about inside information, it's just a marketing and advertising ploy. There is no such thing as internet or inside information in this information age where everything is readily available on the internet. But back in the 90s, let me tell you something, guys, and I'll never forget where it really hit me. It was a Mid-American Conference game. Toledo was playing somebody. And I found out that Toledo, one of their starting forwards, who happened to be their leading scorer, who was averaging like 13 points a game, was not going to play that night. And when I released injuries, I always told you not only who the player was, what his injury was, but I also told you what he was doing in terms of leading the team in scoring, rebounding, etc. And I had this play, or had this injury, and I released it. And then, within an hour or so of Vegas getting it, I saw immediately a huge jump in the line for that game. Actually, it was a big drop because the leading scorer was out. And it dawned on me, it's like, wow, that's inside information. Because I had the power to move the line. Now, if I was an unethical type of guy, I could release that type of information and take advantage of it. But I just don't play that way. It's straight and narrow, and that's the way you do it. Now, that was the only thing I ever can tell you about inside information. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. It's just bogus and BS. But the injury came back to bug me last night and bite me in the ass. Hey, it was a loser. It was on the Lakers. So be it. As I've often also said, You cannot lose focus. You cannot lament the losses because the next money-making opportunity is right around the corner, and I found that play tonight. Another rare 15-dime play, this time in college basketball. I'm calling it my 17-point burial blowout of the year. I've got a home team that has played well, but has just encountered in a brutal opening conference schedule. But tonight, I think they've got a cupcake on their schedule. They're going to smush. I sound like Snooki on Jersey Shore, right? I mean, they're going to smush. Anyway, they're going to smush these guys. I think they win by 17 points minimum and get the easy cover. It's a 15-dime play. These 15-dime plays in basketball, college and pro combined, 20 out of 27 the past 2 years, 5 out of 7 the past 3 weeks. Of course, last Wednesday, giving you one on Indiana State laying 1.5, winning by 6 at Bradley. Last Thursday, following that up with another winner on Wisconsin Green Bay at home against Loyola of Chicago, getting the half-point cover in that one. But hey, a win is a win, no matter the point spread, right? So those are the records with those 15-dime releases. 9-4 in college basketball alone with those plays the past 2 years, including hitting 4 out of 5 the past 3 weeks. That is my best bet tonight. As for your free pick, a game that I came very close to using as a best bet tonight, I'm going to go with Gonzaga, minus 8.5 at Santa Clara. Now, I know playing at Santa Clara has been a house of horrors for the Cougars the past couple of years, having to rally from double digits down to win last year's game. A couple of years ago extended to overtime. So each of the last 3 visits to Santa Clara have been close, but Gonzaga is head and shoulders the better team here. Santa Clara is coming off an 84-59 loss at St. Mary's. They lost their previous home game to a bad San Francisco team, 74-67. The home game prior to that one, Cal Santa Barbara, a little better, lost that one 80-69. Some of their home wins this year have come against the likes of Bethune-Cookman, Northern Colorado, Houston Baptist, the Bethany Bruins. Sounds like a CYO team to me. What the hell are the Bethany Bruins? I don't know where Bethany University or college is located. I don't even know they had a college basketball team. And I damn well sure didn't know they were nicknamed the Bruins. But hey, they managed to beat them. Look at the RPI difference between these two teams, guys. Gonzaga has an RPI of 45. When you're playing Bethany, that's why you have an RPI of 216 like Santa Clara does. Gonzaga's won 9 in a row, 5-1-1 against the spread in line games in this one. They're coming off a 3-game home sweep of that homestand, beating Loyola and Marymount 79-59, Pepperdine 92-75, and a good Portland team 74-61. No look ahead for them as they go to take on San Francisco next. Last road game for them, they beat up Wake Forest from the ACC by 10, 73-63. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it with Gonzaga as your free pick. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Friday.